Welcome to the Healing Centered Conversations podcast, where we create space for conversations that heal. I'm your host, Dr. Byron McClure, a nationally certified school psychologist. I, along with our special guests, will give you insight to promote collective healing by putting people first. Through weekly conversations with educators, psychologists, and healers, we'll discuss ways to heal, thrive, and live your best life. This is the Healing Center Conversations podcast. What's going on? Welcome to the Healing Center Conversations podcast. Look, y'all, we had to go ahead and just jump right into it. I'm rocking the shirt today, man. Brother, you see the shirt?
Yeah, I see you, boy. Hey, more than an educator. That's what it is, man. We gotta let people know, man. We're more than an educator. We're brothers. You know, we on this journey. And man, I support it, man. I support the supporters, man.
Absolutely, that's got to. Look, and that's the message right there. Even when you don't know who's supporting you, keep doing the work, because you never know, man. Eyes are on you. People see the work being done. But again, welcome to the Healing Center Conversations podcast, where we create space for collective healing to promote mental health and foster a sense of well-being. I am your host, Dr. Byron McClure. And in today's episode, we are going to discuss being revolutionary, being more than an educator, with the revolutionary principal himself, Rahh. Man, I got this long bio. Let's get to the bio so we can get to the good stuff.
Just gets to it, man.
Yeah. Look, Rahh. He's the revolutionary principal, man. I got a whole bio. We don't need the bio. We just gonna get right to it, man. Welcome to the podcast, Rahh. Welcome, my good brother.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you, family. You know, and just everybody out there. I didn't even know that you had the shirt, the more than an educator, and when you reached out, it was just all love, so that's how I operate, man. I really live and learn off of village energy, and the energy was just powerful with seeing a brother like yourself just doing what you're doing, man. So I just support you for allowing me to be on your platform, man, and just, speak truth to power, man. So appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely. And in fact, I found out about you and your work and your platform through, I believe, a mutual colleague, Claudine, who is the founder of We Restore More. Absolutely. Yeah. And so we went to Hampton together. And so I did my own thing. She's been doing her thing. And then we just mutually linked just through social media. And I saw the work that she had been doing. And I was following her pages. And I don't know if y'all did a conference or she did something and she was speaking. I was like, yo, those shirts are fire. And then it led me to, I was like, who created those shirts? And then I found that. So you just want to quickly share how that connection came to be?
Yeah, man. So I always call myself the king of restorative practices and restorative justice because of the work I've done in Watts and Compton. And I always like to vibe with people that's doing this work, especially around restorative practices. I've been doing workshops helping schools across the nation. I came across Claudine, who's, I call her the queen of restorative practices because she got her company, We Restore More. And so I also host a revolutionary educator conference annually to inspire educators across the nation through liberation pedagogy. So, I connected with Claudine. I was like, sis, man, we just trying to build a platform. We're trying to build a conference that's for the culture. I would love for you to, just support the movement. And she was just like, Rahh, I got you. So she came and killed it for the conference. We had these shirts and we was rocking it and people vibe, man. We had over 400 people for a virtual conference, man. It was dope. And now we having our second annual that's going to be in person and hybrid, April 29th through May 1st, out here in LA. Where we got, we just gonna inspire educators, man, to be revolutionary.
Man, that's what's up, man. Look, in April, that's my birthday month, so I might have to pull up to LA. Yeah. Look, man, I'm glad to be speaking to you for a variety of reasons. One of those reasons being, man, we just don't see a lot of us, and when I say us, like African American men within the space of education. And I posted on my social media on Twitter a couple days ago, and it got a lot of attention to where I said that we need, there's a major need for black male school psychologists. And I think that that goes without saying across education. You just don't see black male educators. There's just not that many of us in this space, especially in the field of education, man. So I would love for you to share, what was your pathway to becoming an educator?
Yeah, I always tell people, man, listen, I was not trying to be in education. Like, and I come from a family of educators, Byron. Like, my father was a professor for over 34 years. He helped build the Black Studies Department at Long Beach State University out here, right? My mom was a school teacher, and out of 6 of us, 5 of us is in education. But when I was growing up, I just thought they, I was like, y'all square, like y'all not making no money. It was just not something I wanted to do because I just wasn't exposed to. I didn't see a lot of people like myself in it, even though I see my sisters and my siblings. So, I mean, I grew up trying to be a rapper, man, and a football player. Like, my rap name was Solo, and I had it made out like I was going to play football, get drafted to the Dallas Cowboys, buy my mom's and pops a house. Like, I already had it made, you know what I'm saying? And when I was in high school, I was balling. It was cool, and then my father got incarcerated when I was in 11th grade. He became a political prisoner. My grades started to slip, and I dove into football more, but I didn't, I liked football and I was good at it, but I didn't love it, man. So, I got a scholarship to go, and I went to Alabama in the summer to Tuskegee University, HBCU, and I was a defensive lineman. I ended up losing my scholarship. I tore my PCL, my ACL, and then just me and the coaches didn't get along, so I didn't even make it to fall semester. It was like a summer, a couple weeks, and they sent me back home. And I read this book called The Alchemist. And The Alchemist, I don't know how familiar you are with it, it's the story of Santiago trying to find his hidden treasure of life, his purpose. That's when education chose me, man. Like, I got into being a paraprofessional. I was always good at math. I was always somebody that inspired people. So, like, I would say the hood teaching was always in me. I was always young. I was a young dude around a lot of old heads, and I just learned from their wisdom to be able to teach and articulate and motivate. Like, that was always in me and everything. So when I got into teaching, I was just teaching math, and then the teacher was teaching, one-step equations. I remember it, word problems, and he was teaching it from the book, and the kids wasn't getting it. And I just was like, listen, man, like, I'm going to tell you about the white tees. You went to the swap meet, you're going to get the white tee, 3 for white, you get the pack. And I didn't even know I was doing culturally relevant, teaching, culturally responsive teaching. And I sat down, and he was just like, man, you're doing good at this. You should be a teacher. And I was like, yeah, how much you make? He was like, yo, I'm making like 50, 60. And I'm like, yo, man, I'm making like $13 an hour, and I'm doing your job, man. Like, this is something is wrong here. And, I got into it, and then I ended up teaching at a school that my father graduated from called Markham Middle School in Watts. And Markham Middle School, if y'all don't know nothing about Markham Middle School, it's in the center of Watts. It's isolated where 4 rival hoods come to this middle school, man. It's like crazy. And my cousins went there, family went there, and it was just like, yo, I just started to build this love for teaching. Fast forward, man, I became a dean of school culture, restorative practice advisor. And then I remember the principals at the school used to call me to come and deal with all the discipline problems in the school.
That's
it
a
was just
fact.
like, you be as a black man, you become like the black savior of all kids type of thing.
Talk about it.
They want to weaponize you, right? They want to weaponize you and just everything. And I'm like, yo, I'm in the principal office, and and that's when I realized, like, I got to be a principal because I need to run the institution and like create systems where love is at the center of it. Because kids don't respect the position; they respect the person. So that's when I became an assistant principal at 27. And then I did a year and a half as an assistant principal. And then at 28, going on 29, I became the youngest founding principal in LAUSD when I opened my own school, University Pathways Public Service Academy. We known as the U. I opened in 2018.
Shout out to the U, man. For those who don't know, shout out to
Miami University. I really adopted the U from them, man. Shout out to Michael Irvin, Cowboy, and the U. But we ended up opening up a school, man. We yielded a 100% graduation rate, our first graduating class. We graduated every black male student.
That's
We
major.
grew our kids. We grew our kids in ELA and math on MAP by 65% of our kids 1 year in ELA and math based on MAP scores. We've been doing some good things, man. 0 suspensions. And I said, we got our problems. We got our problems. So this ain't no, like, it ain't like it's not fights. It ain't like none of that stuff don't exist, but how we deal with it is just in a different way, you know? So, yeah, man. So education is something that I love, and it's been my mission to revolutionize the system, man, to build a school that I wish I had. You know, understanding that to create a culture where everybody feel like somebody and they could be their authentic self, man. Like in education, I used to code switch all the time and try to be somebody else and speak the way I felt that I had to speak to be a certain way and all these different things. And when I surrendered the outcome, man, I wrote in my book, when I surrendered the outcome, man, that's when I was able to be a better educator. That was when I was able to be revolutionary and let kids know that, you know, I'm more than a principal. I'm more than an educator. And let me teach you how to navigate the system. Let me teach you how to navigate the world. Let me teach you like how multiple streams of income and financial literacy. Let me teach you about all these practices that I do in real life, like how I can own multiple businesses and still be a principal, how I can have my own merch line, how you can also have real estate, how you can also still be a good husband and a good father. Like our children need to see that, because a lot of times they may not see it in their household, or they may see it and they need to see it in multiple ways. So, you know, my kids come to my school, my wife come to my school, they see that, you know. So I just put my blood, sweat, and tears in the community in which I grew up from, man. I just want to unite and be that one educator that, you know, that one person who may not want to be in education, see themselves in and say, man, dang, maybe I can be there. I can do that. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of like been my mission, man. And it's grown to now wanting to revolutionize the educational system. So we grew from, you know, revolutionizing the educational experience, which we have accomplished. Now we are trying to revolutionize the educational system. So,
Man, look,
that's kind of like my journey, man.
listen, man, you are doing it. And like we started this convo talking about getting more of us in the field. And like, yo, your story is real, because people, like, I wish we could track how many people are going to go into education because of
Right.
you. They see you, they see the work that you're doing, and you're making it relevant to them as well. And I'm thinking about my own personal experience. Like I always say that I never had a love or interest in math just because I never saw myself in it before. And everything that I'm doing now, especially in the space of education, is because we don't see us in it. And like, man, you're shifting, you're changing that narrative to the point to where now you're talking about revolutionizing the education system. And
Right.
I'm interested to talk a little bit more about that. But before we get to the systems level change, some of the work that I've done in DC is around school redesign transformation work. And I worked in Southeast DC, which is similar demographics, way out on the West Coast, right? And so I'm interested to hear in your perspective, like what has led you to becoming not only a revolutionary principal, but really caring about revolutionizing education spaces.
Yeah, you know, because there's a, you know, like right now, man, the flavor of the month is, you know, DEI, you know what I'm saying? Like diversity, equity, inclusion. Being included in a space and being valued in a space are fundamentally different. You know what I'm saying? And what I found out throughout my journey, always like my son, I got a 6-month-old son, man, and he loves the movie called Vivo. You know, it's this like musical, and it's one of the songs is like you know, I moved to the sound of my own beat. You know what I'm saying? And when you're your authentic self, and when I was my authentic self, just growing up in many spaces, man, like I moved to the sound of my own beat, man. I just had to be myself, and when I'm not able to be myself, I don't feel valued in the space. Like you can include me and say, "Hey, Ron, come on in there," but we want you a certain way, right? We only want you when you can speak a certain way. We only want you when you're be presented in a certain way, when you can be approachable or palatable or whatever the case may be. And for me, it was like, nah, man, you know, I want to change that, right? It's okay for you to have a little swagger and do your math. It's okay for you to have a little swagger and want to be an astronaut. It's okay for you to have a little swagger and say like, man, I like to read books. It's okay to have a little swagger. Like you can see me, man. And some people had these stereotypes about me, and it's funny, man, because I'm out here in Orlando and I'm doing a conference, and it's one of these traditional conferences, people in ties and all that. And I said, listen, man, I'm here to disrupt your thinking. I'm here to challenge you, right? Because you can sit here and see the Compton hat, you can see the 2 Chainz, you can see all that, and you wouldn't even know I have multiple master's degrees, BA degree, and was accepted for my doctoral program
Talk
for UCLA.
about it. Let's
Right?
go. Let's go.
I denied my doctoral program because I wanted to dive into the work of building multiple schools that you have theory and you have practice. I'm a practitioner.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So no shade to anybody that's on that pursuit, but
you want to ground.
When I was accepted to UCLA, I had to make the decision like, man, I can do this 3 years right now and try to work for this doctoral, and my why wasn't there. My why was for my community and the system more. So, and I felt like this window for me, it was more needed to be visible and seen in a space that's with boots to the ground. So, my work to revolutionize is authentic. It's passion, it's grit, it's relentlessness. And it's for people that really are hungry to support young people of all colors, no matter where you are at. You know what I'm saying? You hungry to change your community. You're humble to know that you don't know it all, but you're smart when it comes to interpersonal and leveraging relationships, right? And you humble, hungry, and smart. So a philosophy to revolutionize education for me was that experience for kids. When kids know that I love them, and we built relationships, and it wasn't on no cornball stuff. It was like, I really love you, man. Like I tell my kids, like every Monday morning we have family, like it's called family. Our assembly is called family. Like I'm on a virtual Zoom or in person. I'm saying, yo, at the end, if nobody told you today that they love you, y'all know Principal Raw love you. Just like that. And it's still kids that come to me like, man, I look forward to that every speech. Right. And that's an experience. Getting to know every kid name, that's an experience. Like if I believe that my school is a place where everybody feel like somebody, what am I doing every day culturally to create a climate where that exists? So and I feel like that's the experience. That's when you focus on love, everything else when it comes to academic metrics build around that, right? Like you touch the soul, you touch the heart, then now you can really control the mind and support the mind and fundamentally, structurally, and critically. So that's kind of like the experience. But then I realized that, man, the experience is cool and it's great for our community, but we're still working within a toxic ecosystem. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you have this nice little thing, like this blemish that's good or that's working, but then it's this macro toxic ecosystem that's still pounding all around the nation. And in my mind started to wonder, and I said, man, people ask me like, what do you want to be remembered by? And I said, I just want to be remembered by somebody who tried to change the system, man, change the world, and I let the world change them. So that's kind of like the journey that we are on, man, that I'm on personally, is to connect culture, to connect community, and connect education, but now connect capital, So that's kind of like where we at, man.
Man, in that piece, we're going to get to the capital piece in a second. I got some things I want you to share for that. I love the work that you're doing. I love the path, especially which led you to founding your school. And I listened to an interview that you did not too long ago in reference to the school you founded. And you said, we are the fresh air of Watts. Can you talk a little bit about the University Pathways Public Service Academy, and why you and your team are the fresh air of Watts?
Yeah, I said that specifically because, we were a new school, but we wanted to be that breath of fresh air. When you come to our campus, like when you come to our campus, you're gonna be able to feel something. You're not gonna be able to. You're just gonna be like, I can feel it. It don't even matter if kids are there. You'll be able to walk on our campus and you're gonna feel it. Right. And I say this not arrogantly, like we got all kind of problems, like every school in the nation. We got it all. I mean, trauma. I mean, our kids was going for 18 months. There's substance abuse. There's all kind of things. All these type of things that still exist in our communities. Right. I got kids from gangs. I got kids, all that. Right. But you feel the love there. And that's something, that's the climate when you walk on our campus. So when we say the fresh air, we are the fresh air for Watts, in an underserved community, an overlooked community. So like one of our mantras is, man, we turning Watts to Wakanda. Like that's what we're trying to do. That means we bringing in tech. That means we're bringing in financial literacy. That means that we understand, like, in Black Panther, it's the vibranium, right? So like our education has this vibranium that is unstoppable for us, right? So we want to build this with every kid as their temple. It's like, yo, you built with vibranium. So we trying to build this city to turn Watts into Wakanda, to let you know that, yo, tech is going to come. Financial literacy is going to come. Industry and upward mobility will come. We just got to believe it. We got to be the change. So that's kind of like what I meant and what embodied, being the fresh air.
Bro, so listen, man, I'm listening to you talk, and I'm going to go off script a little bit. I know this wasn't in the questions that I sent to you, but one of the questions I'm always asked when I do interviews or podcasts or workshops or anything is, was it easy to implement? Was it easy to do? And man, what you're talking about is some revolutionary stuff, to where you are giving not only an experience, man, but you talking about from Watts to Wakanda, this richness that's there. And with that, everybody's not going to be on board with that. And I'm sure there might have been opposition. There might have been pushback. Man, can you talk a little bit about some of the barriers that you had to overcome to bring Wakanda to Watts?
Yeah, man, there's a lot of barriers, man. There's a lot of barriers personally in regards to just my approach, in regards of my physical features, in regards to just who I am, right? And then there's barriers in regards of the system always looking for something to be pragmatic, in a sense. Like they wanted to just be in a box. Like these macro level districts want things to just stay in a box, like it's for containment, right? And sometimes it's looked upon as a threat when you're uncontained. You know what I'm saying? When you're trying to be innovative, you can't be contained, right? Because there shouldn't be a ceiling on innovation. You know what I mean? So when you are pushing the limits of innovation, it's scary for a lot of people. So that comes with the territory, right? You can't, I say this all the time, man, you can't expect to be revolutionary and not expect to be challenged. That just comes with the territory, right? So for me, I don't even try to, I'm so, and I know it sounds bad. I just kind of foresee it. I don't even give it a lot of attention, because I'm so focused on turning things to positive. Like I know people talk about, I get a lot of racist comments in my DMs. I get a lot of pushback in regards of, you need to always be professional or speak a certain way all the time. You get all this, right? But I really don't pay it that much attention, to be honest with you. Like I'm at this point where I don't know if you could say I'm numb to it, but I'm so focused on the goal. I'm so focused on touching young people.
Focus.
I'm so, it doesn't need, it's like, I don't really even think about it like that, because I'm so mission driven with the work, and those who rock with me are there and present. So I'm worried on building the village, right? And we say love is living and learning off of village energy. So I prioritize the village and the positive. I've always been that person, though, that the cup was always half full. You know what I'm saying? Like, why? And then it's like, but it ain't no but for me. Like, but they don't like you. Y'all like me, so it's cool. You know what I mean? But they want to go to, that's cool. That's fine. Everybody got that. We on this mission. So, it is hard. Like this work is hard, right? But some of the key things when you're a leader is some key things that's going to help you. One is your ability to have a vision, right? Can you have a vision sometimes and believe in that vision when other people don't see it? Because when you're a visionary, your job is to try to get people to almost have a blind faith, because a lot of them are not going to see what you see. And a lot of times we get frustrated because people don't, we fight them and get in arguments or get frustrated because they don't see what you see. Well, that's not the battle. The battle is for them to believe that you see it. So like my staff may not always see what I see, but they believe in my vision. You know what I'm saying? Like the room can be dark, and they'll hold my hand knowing that I can guide them to the other side of the room. Like, and that's the battle. Like, do you trust me? And that's relational trust. The next thing is, can you cultivate, right? Like, you gotta, like, the spirit of cultivation is so, like, people don't talk about it enough. Like, in leadership, like, how can you cultivate? How can you organize? And then how can you mobilize? Right? Like when you're a visionary, okay, you got that because you have some visionary leaders, but then they lack cultivation. They can't spark it. Then they're not organized enough to get their thoughts out, and then they can't mobilize the people. So now they just they got wasted vision. So now you got to be able to build on that. So like that's been like where I've always focused my work is I'm a visionary leader. Like I can see things and it could cascade and get big. That's it. And I can explain, like it went to the experience and then it went to like, oh, now we got to get to a system. Right. And I'm also good at explaining my vision, and my words can speak truth to people and they can feel it, like, right? And I know that and I leverage that and I try to bring people together. And when they see the recipe and they see it and they feel it, now it's like we can do much more. So like that's always been my recipe. So I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses, right? I'm like, one of my strengths is like I'm extremely self-aware and I'm extremely I have major confidence in myself, right? So I don't let the negative energy affect me. I use negative energy similar to an electron or something. You know what I mean? Like I use that negative energy to catapult it to something positive. You know what I mean? So what is it? Electron and protons, right? Like you got to have this negative energy to create that. So that's kind of like where I'm at, bro.
Man, and with that energy, I mean, you've created something that's obviously special. And for those who don't recognize that and the barriers that you've had to overcome, I'm sure, there's people that's always going to be naysayers, but you use that and you created something special, something that's changing lives. And with the school that you have, the University Pathways Public Service Academy, can you share a little bit on how you all landed on public service? And interesting fact, in our redesign work, we did a lot of school visits. We looked at a number of different pathways. We adopted pathways in our school as well. And one of the pathways that we adopted is public leadership, all the way on the East Coast in DC. And you all are public service. So how did you all land on public service to be your pathway?
So I'm gonna be honest with you, Byron. Like, so the district, when they was accepting me as a founding principal, there was two things. Well, really one thing I couldn't change. The number one thing that I didn't have nothing about was the name of the school and the pathways. That was what the district wanted. They wanted University Pathways Public Service Academy, and I remember it too. They was like, all right, when they accepted my proposal. I'm principal. I'm meeting with the district. They're like, all right, we need your mascot name. We need your mission. We need your vision. We need all that stuff so we can get you out of here, right? So they was like, all right, so what's the mascot for UPSA? UPSA? And they kept on saying, so I'm sitting in here with all, these billionaire, the LAUSD district super, UPSA. And they keep on saying UPSA because that's the acronym.
Right.
Yo, that's trash. UPSA. Yeah. Like, I can't recruit no kids with no UPSA. Yeah. Like, what are you talking about? So I said, listen, the first thing is we're going to be known as the U.
Man, there you go.
Right. And then the second thing, man, I'm sitting around and he was like, all right, what's your mascot? And then he's like, you should be like the Panthers or something like that. And I was just like, yo, we're going to be called the change agents.
That's dope.
And they looked at me and was like, the hell is a change agent? You know what I mean? Like, we need a mascot. I said, listen, the change agents is a character and somebody that's going to make an impact on their community, but ultimately the world. And I said, man, I didn't want no mascot like me. And I say it all the time, man. Ain't nothing, lions, tigers, and bears, all that. That's cool. You can lion pride. But I wanted to, when I reference my kids, I want them to understand 10 years from now, 20 years from now, what they going to call themselves. Oh, man, we the change agents. Because if you say that enough, you may mess around and go and be one.
Bro, and what you talk, that's that vision right there. Like, you have to have a certain level of vision to think 10 years, 15 years. Right. I just had a call with my twin, and we talked about our high school, and we were the Patriots. And we're saying, like, we're Patriots. Yo, the years down the road, your students are going to say, I'm a change agent. Right. And like you said, man, they going to be so sold on that. They going to be change agents, man. And that's brilliant.
Right. So that was more important to me than any type of mascot, animal type of thing. Like, to be able to say, like, when you're 28, oh man, I'm going to my 10-year reunion, man. Yo, yeah. Oh yeah, man, we the change agents.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we changing.
And look, the conversation gonna be, man, what change have you created? What change have you created?
How have you, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
Like, and the kids don't even know that started 2017. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like, man, the journey of, and then public service was, for me to reverse that, because we in the hood, like kids in let's be honest, like kids in politics and law enforcement, like it's a muddy relationship. But then I flipped that off of like, well, in order for us to change it, we got to start with a conversation. You know what I'm saying?
A
Like,
healing centered conversation. There you go.
right? Like we can't like I really believe that no one should be above a conversation, and no one should be below a conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just the reality of it. Like, no matter how much, distrust has happened, like a conversation, the only way that we could turn it around, can it turn around overnight? Nah, but can it turn around overnight? Absolutely, right? Like, we can't turn the whole thing around overnight, but we can turn it around by saying, like, all right, let's have a conversation. Like, let's have some trust. Let's build something. Let's see if we can work something. Let's build a bridge. Let's reimagine this. Let's revolutionize it, right? So we create a law academy, a FBI academy, and a firefighter academy, and we got black and brown kids invested with some dope people that look like me, look like you, that's really giving them the real, and it's a spark. It's a start. Is it perfect? Nah, but it's a start. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And what's interesting, our school, we use what's called a human-centered design approach, and we brought people into the process. And so we were engaging families, parents, students on what they wanted their school experience to be like. And we landed on public leadership for some of those exact reasons. Yo, we're in DC. Well, I keep saying I'm not with the public schools. We can have that conversation another time. I'm doing my platform full time now. Look, I got to get some claps and things there. But what we landed on was public leadership, because, man, our kids are in Southeast DC and the nation's capital. All these jobs, these government jobs, FBI, all of that is right around us. Now, kids didn't have access to it. They weren't getting those jobs. They were going to other places. And so, man, it's just amazing to see the connections between DC and LA, where you all are, and how we can tap into, public leadership, public service. I like how you talked about the restorative conversations, and no one is above having a conversation. So, man, I would love to hear a little bit about your work around restorative practices, healing sense of conversations, some of the training you had, and what that looks like inside of your school.
Yeah, man, when it comes to restorative practices, I just felt like my whole life experience was just built for me to be able to do this in schools, man. Like, I was always somebody who could bring people together. I was also somebody who was extremely innate when it comes to, like, being empathetic and understanding and being able to see multiple perspectives. Don't mean I agree, but able to connect multiple perspectives and explain it, right? Like we always say, like, I'm not going to excuse a behavior. I'm just giving an explanation. You know what I'm saying? Like the why, right? And a lot of people can't articulate the why a lot of times, and I always felt that. So I always did that in my practice. So then if fast forward, I joined with IIRP, the International Institute of Restorative Practices, and I became a trainer of trainers. So I trained the trainers across the nation to help do this work. But then specifically in my school, we built it. I go to schools all the time, and it's so weird because it's like, oh, we have this school, and then we do restorative justice, right? Like, and it's like restorative justice is like a part of what the school does. You know what I'm saying? Where when I built the school, it is the DNA of the school, right? So when you come to my school, it's not like, oh, like go do restorative practices. We do it. It's part of our philosophy. It's part of what our belief. It's part of our approach. So it's not like, all right, now go do it. Like we're turning something off and then turning that on. It is the DNA in which we do it. You know what I'm saying? So I coach and I train, and it's embedded in our house system. It's embedded in our master schedule, 5 days a week for an hour. Monday we build in community. We cascade relationships. So if you know anything about restorative practices, if you break it down, you have to restore, right? Well, restore means that you are putting it back together in its rightful place. Well, just by that means if we're talking about restorative practices in our schools, if we want to restore our school, that means we must restore it back to what it was built as. But what if it was built like not like it was built like
Yeah,
trash?
if it was trash,
If
yeah.
it was never, if you never built an amazing house, can you restore it back to an? No, it was never an amazing house.
That's
So
a fact.
that doesn't make it. You're not restoring it. So you got to build something amazing. You got to build Disneyland. So then when something happens, we restore it back to Disneyland. If Disneyland burned down tomorrow, no, that ain't the, but it's like we can restore it back because we know what it was like.
Absolutely.
But if your backyard burned down tomorrow, can you restore that back to Disney? No, that's not. It was never Disneyland.
That's right.
So you got to build it. So we always talk about build community, create an environment where kids feel like they are special. If kids want to be there, teachers want to be there, families want to be there. So when something happens, we know that we need to restore it. If a kid was never connected to the community, what are you going to restore them back to? So that means we got to build community. So that's what happens with our kids. Like we see something, it's like, all right, bet you something is up. All right, we got to build more community with you so you can feel connected. So you will want to do right, because when you like most human beings, when they feel an environment that they love and they love the people, they want to do good.
Absolutely.
So like you'll get to our kids, and the difference and why we call it the happiest place in South Central is because kids will come and they'll say, Principal Rahh, I got an addiction. I'm struggling. Principal Rahh, like I did these things wrong. Like we have kids that come, no lie to you, but I had a kid that's like, yo, Principal Rahh, I'm addicted to Xanax. Like I need help. I like this school. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we
That
have an
takes a lot.
authentic, like that's vulnerability, that's
Absolutely.
transparency. Like that's the win. Like, and to have a conversation, and for me, I don't criminalize. It's like, yo, I'm not expecting you to just all of a sudden now tomorrow be able, you 14, 15 years old. Like you think you're going to be great now? Like you could just all of a sudden cut it off? Like it don't work that way, but we're going to work with you, right? So we come up with like, all right, did you win or did you lose? Did you win? Did you lose? Every day, let's get. You've been all right. You lost 4 days this week. All right, let's just win. Can we win 2 to 3 days? You know, so now I can talk to that young lady. Be like, hey, did you win today? I didn't, Mr. Rahh. It's all right. Come here. Let's talk. You know what I mean? It's all right. But to have a conversation, and for her and for our kids to be able to say, man, I can go talk to not if it's not Principal Rahh, oh, it's my counselor. If it's not my counselor, it's that teacher. If it's not that teacher, it's my campus aide. If it's not my campus aide, it's a security guard, right? Like that's restorative practices. That's relationships. That's a community. So now, if a fight happens, it's like, damn, man, I want to get back. Like I let Miss Jessica down, man. I let Mr. Rahh down. We all been impacted. Now we got to come together. Let's talk about this, man. Like, you know, we believe in you. Like this is what we all do. You know what I mean? So now the kid feel like, damn, I'm not just doing this for myself.
Yeah, bro. I look down because I just got goosebumps, man, and like I feel that. I feel your energy, your love for the work that you're doing, and to have students who can be in a space to where they can show vulnerability, and it doesn't mean that you're weak, where you can be in a space and love students back to where they're supposed to be is
Right.
powerful, man. And
Right.
that's what restorative practices is. It's relationships and it's building community. Man, I would love to hear a little bit about the house system that you have, man. Look, I was doing my research pre-show and I was stopped in my tracks, man. I saw this image of the 4 different houses that you have. And it's the logos. We'll put an image of the screen so everyone can see what I saw. I was blown away. So share a little bit with our listeners what this house system is, the motivation behind it, and how it works and operates in your school.
Yeah, man. For those who are listening, if you're familiar with like Harry Potter, like it's a house system like Harry Potter. There's schools across the nation that do house system. They do squad system. They do like a college system or teams or all these different things. You know, like our house system, similar to one school that like kind of hallmarked it, Ron Clark Academy in Atlanta. They do a house system. We are pretty much hallmarked the culturally relevant house system. So and how our house system work is pretty much we gamify education, Byron. Like we have friendly competition, we have built-in mentorship, and each kid is selected into a house. So let me explain the house system. So we have 4 different houses. 9th, 10th, and 11th, and 12th graders are all in each house, 4 different houses. So we have the house of friendship, which is what we found out, man, Byron, across the nation, cyberbullying, suicidal ideation, trauma was just hitting school. So we wanted a house that embodied love and embodied friendship. So that was that reason why we had that house. Then we have the house of courage, because I found that kids was like, yo, what do you stand on? What's your values? Like, I want to bring value, like not just this, because schools have their own value, but no, what's your values? What do you stand on? How do you hold yourself accountable? Right? Like, we wanted you to have courage about things. And the next I found this was advocacy, man. I like in my community, our school community, it was some certain group of kids would speak up and speak out, but not enough. Or we will have kids that you tell them they want to do exactly what you say. They don't want to go a little bit beyond. They want to say, like, if you go to a school or go to your school and be like, all right, you guys, we're gonna write an essay, and they be like, well, how many paragraphs? How many words you want? Like, and they want to write straight. I want you to speak up and speak out about things you're passionate about. And then last, we want motivation, man. Kids was just like, they are solely extrinsically motivated. We wanted them to be intrinsically motivated. So we had the house of motivation. So we had the house of friendship, house of advocacy, house of courage, and house of motivation. But what we found out was, like, kids wasn't like, we got to sell it to kids. Like, you know what I mean? Like, kids, you got to sell it. We got to be marketing and sales. You know what I'm saying?
You got to brand it. It's all in the brand.
We brought families in. We brought my teachers in. We brought kids in. We was like, yo, we pitched them on this idea. Like, yo, we want to gamify education. We got their bitch and we was like, all right, cool. House of friendship. Kids like, yo, we don't want Barack Obama. We want Michelle Obama.
Okay.
So they was like, all right, cool. So we called it the House of Mobama. So the House of Mobama is the house of friendship. Then we have the house of advocacy, and the kids was like, yo, we want to make sure that we have, like, a Latino or Latina, Latinx person, Hispanic representation. So we was like, oh, the kids was like, what about these people? And we landed on AOC. And it wasn't about her politics. It was more about what she represented in regards of, yo, her journey is a journey. No matter if you like her or not, it's a unique journey. So kids was like, oh, yeah, we liked that. The next one was similar, Colin Kaepernick, for courage. No matter if you liked them or not, or what it was for, it was whatever the way it was courageous, right? It was a courage act. So we wanted Colin Kaepernick. And then last was Nipsey Hussle. Nipsey Hussle was murdered during the time, and like a lot of kids felt like the marathon concept. And if you know Nipsey Hussle, he talked about the marathon. Like, no matter what you decided, if you want to be a barber, a beautician, like, hop on your marathon and run it till it's over with, right? So kids had that. So we had these 4 houses, and we compete for GPA, attendance, grades, civic responsibility, and in every 10 weeks we cycle a 7-foot trophy in regards of who's the baddest house. And it has helped our culture. It has helped, man, just our community. You got parents like, oh, yo, I got to go get my house shirt, my house sweater, and represent. And it's just like a way that we create a community within a community. It's like we create a society, like Jay-Z said, we create a society within society.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like what we did.
Man, that's all right. And can you share 1 or 2 of the benefits of having this house system?
Yeah. And ultimately, number 1, it builds community organically. Because now you have kids that are selected to a house, and each house has their own color. So they get a house shirt, house sweater. So we got burgundy, green, blue, and black, right? So that organically builds community for your school. Second, you use it. If you're a leader, it's ultimately great because you can leverage it for any metric you want in your school. If you want more parents at your back to school night, all right, run a system. Whichever house gets the most parents, right? They get a pizza party or whatever the case may be. So now you got that competition. Oh, we need kids to do their intervention 2 hours a week. We're going to run it through our house system. Like almost everything we do, we run it through our house system. So it's like an operational piece that you build. So it automatically builds community within it. It automatically builds mentorship with it. But then it automatically lets you leverage the house system for any metric you want in your school.
And it's culturally relevant as well, which I absolutely love that. And you're getting parents, the community involved, which increases ownership, from the students, from the parents, from your entire staff. That's revolutionary right there, my good brother. And
Appreciate
speaking of being revolutionary, man, I just started following you on Twitter, and I found through some of the different backlinks this new platform that you got, man,
it.
K-12 crypto. And
Yeah,
so the bio of that reads, we connect school communities to Web3, where
right.
education meets crypto. Now,
Yeah,
crypto is big. Crypto is blowing up across the nation. You go on to say the platform that will revolutionize public education. My good
right.
brother, you have to tell us more about K-12 crypto and how you think it's going to revolutionize education.
All right, yeah, man. So K-12 crypto, in essence, is a learner management system that pays students in a form of cryptocurrency for metrics that they meet.
Bro, you stole my idea. We're gonna settle this right here. You
Yeah,
stole, how did
yeah,
you go? So you are revolutionary in the sense that you must have like mind reading capabilities, yo.
yeah. So yeah, it's a learning management system that is going to connect, schools and pay students in the form of cryptocurrency in a secure wallet. The secure wallet will be held almost like a trust until they graduate from high school. Our platform, so now once they graduate from high school, they can swap it to US dollar, they can use it for college, or they can use the token to get into a decentralized autonomous organization, which is called a DAO, to help them whatever their pathway is. If they want to be an artist, a creative, engineer, we're going to connect with engineers where it's designed for them to work with all newcomers who graduate, to help them and connect them to networks so their dreams can come true. Another reason why our platform, so I explain it to this for those who are like trying to figure it out. Most schools create their own economies anyways. They create a PBIS reward system, right? So they pay kids. Like our classroom teacher be like, all right, you guys, we got these dolphin bucks,
Yeah.
right? Like dolphin bucks
Bulldog
can buy them.
bucks. Yeah.
Yeah, class dojo, but whatever the case may be, these point system where kids can exchange for whatever value that the school have. Well, I want you to imagine that, but kids are actually getting cryptocurrency, and it has an underlying real asset, which is the US dollar, right? Kids can't sell it. They can't do anything. It's really building. And our platform will be taking educators and creatives and professionals, and they will be putting content or curriculum in the form of an NFT that unlocks on our platform. So now imagine your second grader who's struggling in arithmetic. On our platform, they can earn 200 K-12 token by learning something from a teacher that's in California and you're in Massachusetts, right? Like they put something on our platform that the family could use. All right, we're gonna, and you're getting paid. It doesn't cost you anything. You're just going to learn it, and when you learn it, you get an airdrop of your token. So the more you learn, the more you earn. That's another component. Another level to our connection is that Web3 pretty much is what's called the creator economy. Is that we focus on the creators being the center of the economy, which are our kids. Everybody benefits off the kids monetarily, except for the kids. The districts benefit off the kids for coming to school every day. College board benefit off the kids for testing the kids. Textbooks benefit off the kids for providing it to, like, all these billion-dollar industries work around extracting things from the kids. But what if we had the kids earn while they learn? It will attack the $1.7 trillion student loan debt. It will provide more critical hope. It will increase the graduation rate. It will decrease the dropout rate. And it will create an ecosystem for our schools. So there's a lot more from our NFT marketplace. So I want you to imagine a kid who's an artist that or anybody, right? They make their first song into an NFT. It may not be the best song, but imagine Snoop Dogg's first song that he made at Long Beach Poly, and then he becomes Snoop Dogg. How much you think that would be worth? It would be worth a lot. But guess what they buy it on our marketplace? When they buy it, who benefits from when it's sold? All the holders. Well, who's all the holders? The kids. So now the creatives, the innovators, it all benefits back to education. And those who are, just want to, put their money into a project, you'll benefit off of the amount of schools I work with. So K-12 crypto You combine K-12 crypto in the form of positive intervention and support in a token economy and the experience of being a revolutionary educator and a revolutionary school culture. You combine both of those, then we have revolutionized the system. So a K-12 crypto is a platform in which I founded, in which we are in our early seed stages, where we've been working with multiple venture capitalists who are going to help fund the project so we can pilot it out next fall. Right now, we're going to have up to 10,000 students across the nation from New York to Compton, where they be provided a secured wallet. And we're going to just start off with airdropping them tokens based off of the credits that they earn until we build out our entire ecosystem, in which we have some of the top educators put their curriculum on and be rewarded in K-12 token.
Yeah, and so to clarify, this will fit within the current the public school system, charter schools, private schools, any K-12 schools across the country.
Right. Absolutely. So for those who are like, wait, how does that work? Because they're holders, they don't have to worry about tax implications or anything like that, because they will get that once they graduate, right? So this is they're just holding. It's like a trust. Second is because we're working in the form of liaison. So I want you to imagine, if you're familiar with Avid is like for the first generation college student. You have to pay to get professionally developed, and you almost have like pretty much an Avid teacher, an Avid liaison on your campus. I want you to take and imagine that, but we have a K-12 financial liaison, right? We have a crypto liaison who's like their financial support system on school. Like they're teaching them, they're their counselor. They're teaching them like, all right, you earned this. This is what you need to be doing. This is like this. This is how that's going. And like, that's how we're creating it and supporting districts, charter schools, private schools, and kids across the nation. So yeah, that's the goal, man, is to be in schools all across the nation. And man, people don't even know that 1 in 7 kids are living in poverty right now. We're the richest nation in the world, and we have a severe poverty issue. We can address it through the Web3 economy.
Man, and what I think is brilliant about this Web3 economy is that it's bringing students into the conversation. And like you said, we know that educators, big institutions like College Board, they're all getting paid really off the backs of students. And so
Right.
what you're doing, I'm just thinking of like the NCAA, how, man, it took them decades, man, before they
Right.
got to a place to where they can actually pay their collegiate athletes. And what you're doing, like, not only are you going to get students paid, but you're going to pay them based off the wave of the future. Cryptocurrency is the wave of the future. And yeah, you're building that out right now, man. So I think that's brilliant. And you're legit more than an educator, man, bringing this into this space, man. That's awesome.
I appreciate it, man, because there's not a lot of principles that understand, the evolution of the internet and the evolution of our economy that's tied to the internet that's happening right now. And if we do not connect our schools to not only being authentic and restorative practices and being equitable, but if we do not also play offense, we sometimes, like, I always look at it like, if we're in a race, right? And you had the relay race. And it was like, yo, we've been, for being black in America, we've been cheated out of the race for a long time, right? We've been held back for a long time, in many different ways. I think 100% people can agree, like, yo, and from slavery to Jim Crow, like, you can go on, like, we've been held. So sometimes it's like, man, to catch up, you got to kind of run all the way to the, like, all right, you got some people right here and they fight, but sometimes you got to get somebody to run all the way to the end and try to take a chance on, like, cutting across the field to try to catch up. If we don't also see what's ahead, we're going to be fighting the same battles in a new metaverse that we're fighting now.
Man, that's a fact.
Right? And that's where we gotta make sure that we play offense and defense, right? Like, we growing up, man, we always, I grew up playing defense, you know what I'm saying? And that's how it worked. But now what if we can create a system where we can position ourselves to play defense and offense, right? Meaning that, and what I mean by defense, it's like, when I grew up, I had to battle the streets, I had to battle gangs, I had to battle trauma. I had to battle like my cousin being murdered, like right in my eyes. I had to battle like my father being incarcerated. You have to battle all those different things. It's defense, right? Like where somebody else is more privileged or relative privilege, no matter who else. Like you looking at life like, do I want to be a lawyer? I want to be a doctor? Do I want to go play basketball today? Am I going to piano lessons? Am I going
That's real.
that's offense, right? So now it's like, how can we position ourselves and position majority of people who deserve it, who most need it, to also feel like, damn, I could play offense and defense. So that's kind of like where we want to combine the two worlds to revolutionize the system.
Man, and that's transformative work right there. I recently started listening to the Earn Your Leisure podcast. You
Yeah.
familiar?
Yeah, no, they came to my school, man. Like Rashid and Troy, man, they
Yeah.
came to my school. Shout out to my boy Sticks. They came to visit, man. Yeah, no, we connected. I may be connecting with them on the 19th, November 19th of this month, man. I'll be out in New York to connect and vibe with them with my boy Sticks. Yeah.
Man, that's dope stuff, man. And I'm glad that you connected with them. You know, they've been preaching this economic empowerment, financial literacy, and I think they're right. I think you're right. Like we're in this race, and we know that, right? We know all of those things, and my focus now has been, especially being in education, is okay. What do we do now? Like we
Right,
understand disproportionality, we understand this negative, just like this fixation with it almost. But what are we going to do to change it, to disrupt
right,
it? And
right,
man, we don't talk enough about this economic empowerment, man.
right.
So that's why I appreciate the Earn Your Leisure podcast, why I appreciate Web3 and what you're doing with this K-12 and crypto, and just you as a revolutionary educator, man.
I appreciate that,
And
man.
look, man, I know we going over our time. I want to be respectful of your time, man. And with this podcast, you know, being the healing centered conversations, in your perspective, man, especially as a revolutionary, transformative leader, why do you believe in healing centered practices, and what's the value of healing centered conversations?
Yeah, man. You know, I believe in like the Nguzo Saba principles. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's the seven principles of Kwanzaa, and one of the principles is unity, right? And that's the first principle. Another principle is collective work and responsibility, and then another principle is cooperative economics, right? So when I think of being like healing centered, right, and being centered, it got to be centered in community. It got to be centered with unity, because so much in our American system, we have all been like indoctrinated to individualistic ideals, right? Like it's chase the bag, get this. Like we all trying to, like if we're coming from where I come from, it's like we all trying to get it, right? Like, and we've also known like the one of the tactics is separation. Well, being healed is like the ability to be transparent, vulnerable, build trust, and love each other, and collectivism. Then I feel like, you know, when I think about being like centered around healing, it's like that collective work and responsibility. Like, yo, you're my brother, you're my kin. Like we don't have no blood relationship, but this the vibe and the energy is like, yo, we have a kinship, right? And you know, if we both do a little, neither one of us has to do a lot. You know what I mean? Many hands make light work. You know what I mean? So that is like being healed. And then also, man, when we think about just the world we living in, we need more safe spaces to be vulnerable. We need more safe spaces to be authentic. We need more safe spaces to say like, yo, it's okay to not be okay, right? And to have a conversation about that from like Obama, my brother's keeper, and have that, right? But in order for us to be empowered, I strongly feel you must be healed first. Because when you're empowered and you're not healed, it comes back. It don't go away. Like no matter how much money you have in your pocket, if you're not healed, it's gonna rise to the top sooner or later. So like you gotta be healed, right? That gotta be the learning process to fulfill real like collective empowerment. So that's my firm belief, man, and that's why when you invited me, it was a no brainer for me.
Man, thank you. That's awesome right there. So much value in that last statement. Look, man, as we come to a close, look, we're both big on restorative practices. You know, we have that closing round. The closing round is as you close the circle. And as we close this healing sense of conversation, I want you to give us maybe 1 to 2 words or maybe 1 to 2 sentences. It could be a phrase. How can our listeners be revolutionary?
Man, I always say, like I said, humble, hungry, and smart. But my main thing, the mantra is, change the world. Don't let the world change you. And if you look at it in your current system, you got to ask yourself, I would say this, man. My friend, my home, shout outs to Dr. Melody. She gave me this one. I don't know where she got it from, but she said, learning, the evidence of learning is through application. So what have you applied? Actually, if you want to be revolutionary, what have you applied to your practice that's revolutionary? Because the evidence of learning is through application. So if you learned anything from this podcast, if you learned anything from healing centered conversations, then ask yourself, what have you applied? Have you applied doing the community building circles on Monday next week? Have you applied it? If you haven't, then you can't say you're revolutionary. You know what I'm saying? So I would say, take your learnings and apply them. Because a lot of us reading a whole bunch of books, but we ain't applying. You done read all them financial literacy books, but you still spending every dollar. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm saying it to people, but I'm saying it to myself. You read all them health books, but we ain't eating healthy. Right? So the evidence of learning is through application. What good is reading? What good is knowledge if you're not going to speak truth to power? So if you want to be revolutionary, stop talking about it and be about it.
Man, there it is. Stop talking about it. Be about it. Got to be about that action, man.
Right.
Listen, man, drop your socials. How can people get in touch with you? How can people find you?
Principal Rahh on everything. Go to Twitter. My biggest platform is on Instagram. But man, really, you can support our conference coming up on Instagram, RevEdX, Revolutionized the Educational Experience on Instagram. And then if you in towards on revolutionizing the system, follow our platform at K12 Crypto on Twitter and Instagram, at K12 Crypto on Instagram and Twitter, man.
Man, Principal Rahh, my brother, thank you for this healing-centered conversation. Let's keep healing, y'all. This was episode 2 of the Healing Centered Conversations podcast. Be sure to follow us on social media at Healing Centered Convo. Help us grow by liking, sharing, commenting, and leave a review for the podcast. Tell a friend to tell a friend about the Healing Centered Conversations pod. My brother, this was man. This was transformative, man. If I had to say one word, this was revolutionary. I appreciate you. I'm grateful for you blessing our platform. Take care, y'all.
Absolutely.